We're going to call this regular board meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners in order. We'll have roll call of commissioners. Commissioner Cruz.
Here.
Commissioner Diaz.
Here.
Commissioner Farrow.
Present.
Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Commissioner Roach is here. For the record, we have a quorum, and at this time, please observe a moment of silence for retired Sergeant Kenneth Coble, who passed away on June 19th. Thank you. Okay. Next order of business would be the acceptance of the minutes of the regular board meeting from last month, June 18th. Does anybody have any questions, comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. Same thing with the acceptance of the minutes of the special board meeting, which was held on June 26th. Unless there's any questions, I'll entertain a motion to accept.
So moved.
It's been moved by Commissioner Diaz.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Williams. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Minutes are accepted. Moving on. Reports. Chief of Police. Good evening, Chief Porter.
Good evening, Dan. Good evening, commissioners.
Good evening.
Everybody's staying as cool as possible in all this hot weather.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Even the
a couple quick
dogs.
items. Good. A couple items. I'll start with, so we've posted our 6 month, at the end of June, we posted our 6 month stats, our statistical information. So they're on our website, but I'll go over some of the highlights of our 6 month our crime information that's on our website. So it's all there for everyone to see, and it's really good. We got charts and graphs and everything. So for the first 6 months of 2024, we're slightly behind 2023's overall crime rates in the city of Bridgeport as it relates to Part 1 crimes. Our homicides are down significantly. Our shooting incidents are down pretty decently as well. We are up in the area of sex assaults and our felony assaults. So the shooting incidents are incorporated with the felony assaults, but the overall shootings are down. A couple of areas in there, we see an uptick in stabbing incidents. And I've seen that across in other cities as well, particularly New York City. I kind of follow their stats. They're up in that area too, where their shootings are down, but their overall felony assaults are up. So I think what's happening is our gun control, some of our gun control laws are being effective, but individuals are finding other means to assault and commit crimes upon one another. So we do see an uptick in that area, something we have to, that we're looking into as it relates to that. As it relates to our sex assaults, although we're up, I think the reason why we're up, and this is another area where I saw that other cities have an increase as well. I think a large part of that is due to the transparency, and we are encouraging more people to come in and file complaints. And one of the things that we did earlier in the year is we have now a DCF staffer that's stationed within our detective bureau. So we're getting more complaints because they're on hand. So which is a good thing. I mean, although I'm not happy to see our sex assaults up, I'm happy that people are more comfortable in reporting these incidents and, so that they are being properly investigated. So, but our stats are on our websites. So if anybody wants to go take a look at those, they are there for the viewing. As it relates to our quality of life issues, we do still see issues with some of our quality of life issues, whether it be noise, the noise ordinance, or speeders. I got a call as I was coming here today regarding speeding on Stratford Avenue, and as are always issues with the tractor trailer. So although I'm happy that our Part 1 crimes are down, that means our violent crimes are down. So I'm kind of glad, but not glad that we're dealing with the quality of life issues, because I think the quality of life issues is what affects 99% of the residents of Bridgeport, are those noise issues and speeders. And so we're trying to come up with ways to actively address those. As it relates to our manpower, we're in the process of hiring. They're doing the background. So I think within the next couple of weeks, our laterals will be starting. I think we're going to take on at least 4 right now, and then a few more as time goes on. So the plan is, so they're coming from other departments. So they're already certified Connecticut police officers. So they won't have to go through a long academy. So they're going to do probably a 2-week academy, 1 week in-house academy, and 2 weeks where they'll ride with a Bridgeport officer just to familiarize themselves with the city of Bridgeport and some of our ordinances. So I'm happy that we're going to have them on board in the next couple of weeks. Also, we hired that last class of 15 officers. They will be completing the FTO program at the end of the month, and then those 15 will be on their own as well. You guys should be getting an invitation if you haven't already got an invitation. We're going to be swearing in another class, I believe it's July 25th or the 29th. And this is going to be a pretty big class. So we're going to swear them in. I think it's going to be at least 30 recruits, and you guys will get an invitation to that. So that's just the initial swearing in, and then they'll begin the police academy. And then 6 months later, they'll be graduating, and you guys will all be at the graduation and see us bring on more police officers. In addition to that, we are currently recruiting again, and we hope to start. That process is going on. The test is going to be given in the fall. We did something unique this year. Chief Lance Edwards and myself, we did kind of like we did a joint recruiting press conference, and basically our theme was that it was about public safety. So we wanted people who were interested in public safety, whether it be fire or police, as long as it's Bridgeport. We were kind of joint recruiting. We're saying, hey, take both tests, and then you decide what you want to do, as long as it's Bridgeport. So we kind of collaborated on that initiative, and so they're recruiting as we are recruiting as well, and so hopefully we'll do well in that recruitment process. So we're building up and replenishing our ranks, as you can see. We gave a sergeant's test. They completed the sergeant's test today. I believe like 70 or 80 officers took the sergeant's exam. And so those results should be out in a few weeks. And then 30 days after that, we should look to fill some of our open sergeant's positions. One of the things that we're undertaking, and this is something I'm going to have to discuss with you guys in more detail. And I guess you guys will have to definitely weigh in on this, and we'll share this with the community as well. We're looking at certain calls that we get. We're looking at some of our priority 3 calls, maybe even some of the priority 2 calls, but primarily priority 3 calls. And we're trying to find ways that residents can either fill out online, say a hit and run situation where there's no injuries, or a noise complaint, or just other ways that they can access a file number and get a report without a police officer necessarily having to come out. Ultimately, obviously, if they insist on seeing a police officer, we'll get a police officer out there. But so we did some research, and we noticed that many other cities, they have these portals on their websites where you can go in and you can put in an incident regarding priority 3 stuff that you may need an incident number for, but not necessarily something where a police officer will be required to come out to. So we have a list of call types that we think would fit. And obviously, before we implement anything, we'll share with you and obviously the mayor's administration. And we even roll it out to the community and let them know and get their feedback on how they feel about being able to access this portal, and if something that they think would benefit the city of Bridgeport. And hopefully this will cut down on call responses. So if you have an accident where it's a hit and run accident and you're waiting on a police officer, you don't have to wait. If there's no injuries, you can get an accident number and a report and submit that to your insurance company. So we're just exploring that, and we'll definitely share that with you in more detail, what that would look like. A couple of things I want to report out too. So we completed, since the last time we've met, we had the Juneteenth parade, I believe. We had the Barnum Festival fireworks and the Barnum parade, and we just completed the Puerto Rican Day parade and after event this past weekend. And I'm pleased to announce that all of those events went off, other than maybe some traffic issues, which is, part and parcel to that area of Bridgeport with the arena and the amphitheater. All of those events went off without an incident. I saw several of you at the parade this past weekend, and I think everyone enjoyed it. And one of the things I noticed from parades past, especially the Puerto Rican Day Parade, it was a nice crowd, and the energy was really good, and it just seems to be it was like a different vibe than some of the past parades. So I was really happy that took place. And lastly, I just want to report out on our parks detail. So you may notice with the warm weather and how nice our park is, particularly Seaside Park, we're inundated with people who want to come to our parks. I've noticed that the last several weekends, the state parks have been closing very early, like say 10 o'clock. I've noticed on a couple of occasions where Sherwood Island closed, which impacts our parks. So, and we get a lot of out-of-state residents, out-of-state park goers from New York, even as far away as Rhode Island, and I've seen some Mass plates, maybe even a couple of New Jersey, I've been told. So, so on occasion, because the park gets so crowded, we have to not close the park where we can't let more people go in because of parking issues and crowding issues. That's something we're working with the Parks Department to address even more. They have begun to keep the checkpoints open later, because what was happening, once the checkpoints closed at 5 o'clock and it was no fee to get into the park or no permit, there was just an onslaught of people coming to the parks, and it was just overwhelming us. And when we close the parks, it takes several hours to close. So the parks is a work in progress, and we'll continue to work on that. But the state parks, the last several weekends, they've been closing early, and it's been impacting us. And also, what often goes kind of forgotten is we have several other parks, and they have begun to see really large crowds with some good events, like the park out by P.T. Barnum, Winfield Park, and other parks. So we have many parks that we have to cover. So we're going to work with the parks detail in more detail to come up with some better ways to address some of the closing issues and the crowd issues. But beyond that, we have the quads out, cops on bikes, seems to be well received. And knock on wood, everything seems to be running pretty decently. But beyond that, I think we're going to have some news, maybe today or tomorrow, that we're going to be announcing on another matter. I'll let the city announce that in terms of some more personnel to help me in the leadership role of the police department. So hopefully that'll be happening soon. But beyond that, knock on wood, we seem to be doing okay. Any questions?
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for the chief?
I'll make a comment that Seaside Park may be the nicest park or most beautiful park on the whole eastern seaboard of the United States.
Uh-huh.
I agree. I think the
agree.
crowd,
I
the crowd-
second that.
From
Yeah,
Maine
and I think
to
the crowd
New
backs
York
that up.
to Canada.
Thank you for that, Chief.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
So I noticed in the parade how all types of motorcycles were driven in, and of course that can't be controlled in a crowd like that. But are they allowed now to come into the park on a regular day?
No.
Because
No. Parks are not allowed in the park, and motorcycles are not allowed in the parks. There was a request from some group that wanted to ride in the parade and come. We said no, but sometimes we have to pick our battles, and it was just like there was so
no,
many.
and I didn't think so. It's just that I know that they still sneak in. You can't.
Yeah, it's hard to
you know.
control.
Yeah.
But no,
Absolutely.
motorcycle. Yeah.
I observed them take away a bike from someone on Sunday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
was an incident where they did. Yeah.
The arches, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they did get. Yeah, they grabbed one. So, and I understand people like to ride your motorcycles, but that's just that's an ordinance in the park, and they make noise. If you're at the park enjoying the park, you don't want to hear that
Mhm.
Yeah.
engine revving up in front.
That's unfortunately, a lot of them are quite loud. And,
Yeah.
Everybody complains about the loud music, but the motorcycles were just as bad.
I was just
Yeah.
wondering about the huge fireworks that took place just several days ago. I couldn't believe the magnitude of those fireworks and how loud and how late they started. They must
like
have started at 10 o'clock at night. It was a
Yeah,
Sunday night, and I thought, oh my gosh, what's going on? Literally, people were coming out their doors to say what we thought there were bombs at one time. Literally, that's how loud they were.
yeah,
Where
and I
did
know
they come from?
that's a good question. So I know the fire chief. You know, we did a PSA, and he talked about illegal fireworks, and all fireworks are illegal. But you know, we just put out PSAs and warn people. But it's hard to control.
No, I'm just wondering
No.
if they came from St. Margaret Shrine, Central High School.
Um,
They went on for like 40
yeah, there's so
minutes.
many. Yeah, there's so many. I mean, it's hard to pinpoint where they come from
I
sometimes.
mean, they're nice,
Yeah.
but I'm over that right now. And
And
they started way
like,
before 4th of July, and it's like, oh my goodness,
yeah,
here they go again. It was
yeah.
crazy.
Like I said, like the only fireworks I wanted to go see was the ones at Seaside Park, and that should have been it. But unfortunately,
Okay.
yeah.
Thought you knew.
Any other questions for the chief?
I have two questions, and then I also have a comment. It each month I've been forgetting to bring it to your attention regarding the ATVs and gassing up at the gas stations. So I had it wasn't an incident, but I was at the gas station on Huntington Turnpike, and by IGA, that on that same side, and there were about 20 of these machines, ATVs, dirt bikes outside. And I, went inside and I asked the attendant, was he aware of the ordinance that was in place? And they have the signs there and everything. And what he said was, because he's there by himself, he says when they come inside the store to, pay, he does let them know that they're not allowed to gas up at the gas station, but you cannot stop anyone from using a credit card. And he's not going to go out there by himself. So that's, and I know that we're not finding gas stations or anything, but in the event if that were to come about, we also have to think about the safety of those who are employees of these gas stations, because you're not going to go out there and tell a mob of people that they can't gas up. So that is probably happening more often than not at these gas stations.
And I suspected that would be the case. I mean, they're not going to go out and,
No, they're not, if you're paying at the pump.
And I can't really blame them, but I'm glad you mentioned that particular location. But so that's a place that we can monitor, because I do have information that on like Pearl Harbor, that might be a location where they kind of gather over there quite often. So that might be Huntington that they kind of go to.
Right.
So I'll make a note of that too, so we can check that location.
The other question was the Ford Lateral. Are they, what towns are they coming from? And are they, towns in Connecticut?
Yeah, because they are all certified police officers in Connecticut. So off the top of my head, I think there's a Waterbury, there's a Norwalk, there's a New London, maybe 2 New Londons.
Didn't you have in the past, you've had one-time Bridgeport officers that transferred to other towns that were interested in coming back?
Oh yeah, there's still a couple. So there's there's 1 or 2 who left who have expressed interest, and they are starting the process to try to come back. It's just that so they've been gone so long, it's you start from scratch. And but you have a couple who are interested in coming back who left as well. So, and then we have some others who because there's a state law that you have to be beyond 2 years. So there's some in some other departments who we're kind of waiting until they get, I hate to play that game, but we got burnt a lot like other departments. So there's a couple, we're waiting a couple more months until they get beyond that 2 years, who we're going to probably say, hey, we're open.
And the last question was, I know you mentioned about the portal, and I know it might be too in advance to ask the question, but is there a cost associated with that portal? And is there a system that we would have to purchase for that portal?
Yeah, so I have an IT guy and they can explain it much better than me, but yeah, that there
Okay.
would be some cost and so we'll weigh the cost benefit of how effective it would be, but and it's just to provide free the officers from going to certain calls that could be handled without them necessarily. And so people don't have that wait time where on a priority 3 call, you might call on Saturday and then like Sunday night, the cop goes, "Hey, I'm here for that call you called the other night." So, it's still being explored to see how it would be, if it would make sense here or not.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, Chief. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Again, one
Thank
last
you.
thing. Again, one
Yes.
last thing. I spoke with some people from the Cherry Street loss.
Yes.
The loss, and so I think we're gonna have a community meeting over there probably within the next week or two. So I'll let you know.
Okay, no, thank you. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I was going to follow up with you on that also. There's an issue down there, well, tomorrow, they have some new investors coming in town so they can start working on the next phase. And
Okay.
I spoke with I think one of the sergeants who said he's gonna make sure there's a little visibility there from our officers tomorrow
Yeah.
morning. And it's just a question of
Okay.
making sure that there's, they've
Okay.
had, a small issue with panhandlers and I guess there's a small homeless situation there also on Hancock and Railroad, but that'll be taken care of. So it'll keep the developer happy and keep the investors happy and keep that project, get that project moving along again.
Okay. Well, I'll let you know when we hit set.
Yeah. No, appreciate that, Chief. Thanks.
Already.
Okay.
Alrighty.
All right,
All right,
moving
you
on.
guys have a good night.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Chief. You
Chief.
too.
You too, thank you.
We don't have anything from the union or internal affairs this evening. We'll go to the clerk's report and Lieutenant Lyons, floor is yours.
Hello, I feel like I miss you guys. We saw each other so much in the last couple months. I haven't seen you guys in 4 weeks, but I just
Aw.
want to make sure everyone got our invitation. The chief is having his second annual awards ceremony. That hopefully I'm going to present some awards to you guys for approval tonight. But our second annual awards ceremony, and I wanted to personally invite you on behalf of myself and the chief to join us on August 1st and just to be a part of it since you are our police commissioners. And I think sometimes we present to you some of the bad of the officers, and so it'll be nice for you guys to see the good side of them as well. And he's going to have the Legends Awards for retired officers that he feels that really helped this department move forward throughout the years. And we have a citizen award involved in it as well. So I just wanted to personally invite you guys to that on behalf of the police department and the chief.
Thank you.
And what time on the 1st does that start?
See, I knew you were gonna ask that because I wasn't prepared.
I'm
I believe
sorry.
it's 6:15. I'm gonna
Yeah,
go.
I think you're right. Yeah, I don't remember
It's
seeing
on
that
the
also.
flyer.
Yes.
And there will be Bozzies will be there, the cupcake truck will be there, McLizzy's will be there, and I believe Thelma's is gonna provide some food as well. So there'll be some food and some snacks, and so if you want to bring your families as well, so they can be there. Hopefully the
Very cool.
sun will not be there.
See if you can get the temperature turned down a little bit and the
A little
humidity,
bit.
that'd be great.
Yes.
So hopefully it'll be a nice cool summer evening.
Yes.
Good, very good. Anything else, Lieutenant?
That is all until we get down to the awards committee part.
Okay, and first item under new business is 3A, the aforementioned awards, and the commission would require, well, it requires our approval. What I will do, we'll go through all of them quickly and then combine it and have one vote if that's okay with folks. I know from what I know about the recipients, the first is Officer Diala Roberts, and that is a Police Meritorious Service Medal. And this involved the officer pulling an unconscious victim from a vehicle that was catching fire. There was some assistance by a civilian, Linda Lubin, with another accident victim providing some type of medical help before the EMTs arrived. The next is Officer Corey Baldwin, who handled a potential suicide case successfully. The next one is Detective Jeremy Kelly, for an investigation that led to an arrest and a conviction of a sexual predator. The next is Officers Andre Giddin and Rolando Montero, a merit award. They following up on a complaint, drug dealer working one of the corners on State Street. An armed drug dealer for that matter. They answered the call, showed up shortly, had a successful arrest, was able to take down the suspect. Next was Officers Jimmy Mendoza and Steven Sadowski, responding to the spot shotter, which resulted in a quick and efficient arrest of a armed drug dealer. The next is James Boulay, Corey Baldwin, once again, and a probationary officer, Maria Kanhasi, merit award, that successful result in a East Side automobile pursuit. The next was Officer Brittany Bear. The excellent arrest award had to do with a robbery suspect that had held up evidently TD Bank in downtown, and that suspect was apprehended in short order. Next one is Officer Hugo Stern, for handling an emotionally disturbed woman with a baseball bat that took a few swings at him. He was able to work that into a successful conclusion, excuse me. And the last is for Officers Zachary Schuler and David Teixeira, Meritorious Service Award. As another case of a driver that needed to be pulled from a vehicle. And that is just a brief background on each of the award proposals. If anybody has any questions on any particular ones, that'll be fine. If not, I think a motion would be in order to combine the requests and to approve.
I make a motion that we combine the request and approve.
Okay, motion's been made by Commissioner Farrow. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Cruz. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. That motion is passed. Nothing that I can see under old business or correspondence or letters of appreciation, and nothing as well under widow's pension. So we'll move on to the report from the city traffic engineer. There are several handicap signs requests that are approved. Also speed humps, 3 locations on Ash Street, a stop control at Wilmot and Orange, and a no outlet sign on Montgomery Street, which is as opposed to a dead end sign, but it's technically, it's not a dead end, so. And that's actually an easy one. It goes on the back of a stop sign. So any case, unless there's any questions on those,
On the, yeah. That street, Ash Street
Quiet,
is really
quiet right now.
kind of
quiet.
tight.
Ash Street,
Yeah, it's a tight street. I remember, I know people that live on it.
yeah. And I would have assumed maybe Dewey would have been a more of a candidate because there's more traffic but
Big,
I mean,
that's a,
Ash Street is it's a long street and you're right, it's not that wide. Maybe that's more of a necessity than to slow the traffic down there.
when I London to school, that would be my route. And they,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, evidently, the residents put in for it. They got the necessary signatures and the city traffic engineer approved their request.
Okay.
Any other questions? Anybody care to make a motion to combine the items under 8A and approve the recommendations of the city traffic engineer?
I'll make that recommendation. I
Okay.
mean that.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Diaz. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Farrow.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those items have been approved. Now, underneath 8B, city traffic engineer is moving to deny 4 handicap sign requests on the first item, 563 Carroll Avenue, which the board denied 10 months ago. The applicant reapplied. I've had some contact with both council people from that district, the 139th, Councilwoman Martinez, as well as Councilman Newton, who were requesting approval for 563 Carroll Avenue. There is it's a single family residence. If I remember correctly, there is a driveway that is very narrow and is in pretty bad shape from what I was able to see. The lady is not very mobile, to say, and supposedly it'd be very helpful if this was granted. Now, in a lot of cases, Carroll Avenue has a lot of multifamily houses, which means that cars are going to be parked on the street. This is towards the end of the north end of Carroll Avenue, and I think there's a warehouse on one side of the street towards the corner. My point is that it appears that there's usually plenty of parking there. It's not going to be a hindrance for some of the other residents on that street. And again, between the two council people, they were requesting some help in this. So I'll put it out there to the commissioners.
How old is this woman?
She is well into her 70s.
Yeah, I don't recall. I retrieved it.
Yeah, the copy of her license is in the application. But if I remember right, I'm sorry,
1948, she was.
1948.
Okay, wow.
Okay.
Oh,
So he's 76.
Well, obviously, there's a real concern if you're gonna apply again 10 months later after we denied it. Right?
Right.
Isn't that-
And the reason for denial is obviously there's off-street parking. But
but just because, not recognizing maybe the
Right,
severity
and
of
we,
the
and
disability.
we've, you know, we've approved, handicap, parking signs in the past after they've been denied. And it's a standard procedure for
Yeah, no,
the city
I
traffic
understand that.
engineer, yeah.
Right, I understand
Okay.
that.
I think,
I apologize. I don't foresee a problem with approving it.
okay, is that in the form of a motion?
Yes.
Okay, it's a motion to approve, which
I'll
is
sec-
actually the motion would be to, not to approve the recommendation of the city traffic engineer and allow for the handicap, sign to be, posted. So that motion, is on the floor from Commissioner Cruz, and I believe it was seconded by Commissioner Diaz.
Yes, sir.
And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, moving on. There is a handicap sign request at 114 Sheridan Street, which is a single family. For the life of me, and I apologize, I don't recall the more details of that. But
The paperwork states that he does dialysis 3 days a week, and sometimes he's too weak to pull into the driveway. And if the space was in front of his house, he could walk to the front door instead of having to go to the back door.
thank you.
And that he has congestive heart failure as well.
Wow. According to that, wouldn't we be concerned about him being on the road driving?
That's a point too. I brought the property up on Google Maps, and it's a tight street as far as parking is concerned. But again, that's the recommendation of the city traffic engineer, and that's the rationale from the applicant, or the reasoning from the applicant. So, does anybody have any other questions or comments, or does anybody care to make a motion?
Well,
Dan,
I don't, Commissioner Diaz,
I
you
think
mentioned it should be a concern
It's just-
based on his condition. I'm well familiar with people in my family being on dialysis, and if there's although we have the Greater Bridgeport Transit Authority that can pick people up, some people still can drive after settling in after their dialysis treatment to get themselves home, depending on how far they have to drive. So it's manageable. It's just that they're fairly weak. Once they get home, they just need rest.
if I'm not mistaken, on this particular one, there's two people in the house, him and his son, that are both handicapped. Am I right? I can't. I don't have work in front of me. I want to say that's that case that they had.
I know there's an applicant that lives with her sister, and they both have handicap tags.
All right.
I don't remember reading it about Sheridan though.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was this one. All right.
Anybody care to make a motion, or you want to come back to this?
Yeah, I'm actually re-reviewing it. Can we just go back to it?
Sure, okay. Let's move on to the next request. It was a sign for 116 Garden Drive. And we haven't received a letter from the landlord stating that the applicant is not allowed to park in the driveway. So I would suggest maybe tabling this, and maybe if the clerk can send something to the applicant asking if they can produce a letter from the landlord. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I agree, Commissioner.
Okay. I need a motion from somebody at the table.
I'll make the motion that we table it.
Motion to
more
table
information.
from Commissioner Farrow. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Diaz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay. The last one is 149 Pixley Place, which is, it looks like the house is a duplex. This is a half duplex. There's a driveway on both sides of the house. The applicant lives in the house with with her sister. The sister is actually the owner of the house. Her sister supposedly is also has a handicap tag, but she parks in the driveway, and the applicant was looking to be able to park, on the street. And it seems, seems apparent that there's no off-street parking available for the applicant, but the issue is the frontage of the house with the two driveways. There's not enough room for one car, technically, even though I'm sure cars park there. So that was something that the city traffic engineer brought to our attention, that it's not a it's not a regular parking space that's in front of the house. There's not enough room to label it an official parking space. So because of that, I don't think we have much of a choice in this matter other than to approve the city traffic engineer's request, which is not to approve the sign request for Pixley Place.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Motion's made by Commissioner Diaz to uphold the request. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Getting back to the second item under 8B. Sheridan
Yeah,
Street.
I was reviewing it, and it seems to me that although he goes 3 times a week, when he says, and there's many multifamily homes on the street, he's unable to pull up to walk through it takes longer to get to the front door. It appears they don't use the back door entrance to get, so even if he pulled into the driveway, he's trying to get in through the front. So it's longer for him to get through the front door if he parked in the driveway. So I don't foresee, based on a parking space not being available closer to the front door, for a handicap parking space for this individual.
So what do you suggest?
I am suggesting that we not approve the request of the city engineer's office not to approve a handicap space.
Okay, and to allow the handicap sign.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, there's a motion from Commissioner Cruz on this particular item, not to approve the request of the city traffic engineer and allow for the sign to be put at 114 Sheridan Street. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Farrow. Any further discussion? Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, looks like it's unanimous then. All right. Any other business before us?
I have
Okay.
none.
With that, I entertain I'm sorry, Lieutenant Lyons, I'm probably gonna need to give you a call within a few minutes after we close shop here, if that's okay.
Absolutely. I know we've been playing phone tag.
I know.
I do have one suggestion. I don't know how the other commissioners feel about it, but I was just thinking, we went on Zoom for board meetings. I understand that it's easier for us not to budge and leave our homes to attend a meeting, but the same way we have special meetings and hearings and second steps, we make an effort to be present. So why can't we now reverse the Zoom meetings to having meeting in person?
Now, I understand we're required to meet in person when we're dealing with
No, I
disciplinary
understand
matters
that.
and you know, those special meetings. You know,
Only once a month.
I know, I realize that. I know Commissioner Williams is doing quite better, and back when when Matty Cuminato was on the board, it was a lot easier for some. We have the option to do either. So if that's something that the board wants to talk about now, or sleep on it and you know, take it from there. I am fine myself, and either, I know it's, you know, convenient for, you know, certain members, but however, whatever the board would like to do, I certainly I'd be okay with.
I think we need to really examine that, because are you requiring other folks to come in person as well? Or would they have the option to join by Zoom? So it's not like something we can just say tonight that we will do this, because you have other people.
And other people, meaning people that wish to address the board,
The chief, you know, the lieutenants, the union, everyone. So that's
Yes,
one thing that
understood.
we have to think about as well. It's not just us coming in person. If you say in person, that means everyone would have to come in person.
Right. Oh, no, absolutely. You know,
So
you
it's
know,
not like, you know, we can just say, yes, let's go ahead and do it.
okay.
So I would say that's something we would need to have a discussion on before
Oh,
we
yeah,
say.
definitely. I didn't expect
Yeah, no, I understand.
quick response today, but
Just
something to
throwing it out
consider.
there or whatever. Ed, do you have any other?
No,
any
no,
comment
you
on
had
that?
asked if we wanted to, you know, have that discussion, but what I'm saying is I think we need to really think about the whole picture before.
I agree. Ed, anything else?
Two things. One, I know it looks like our liaison, Councilwoman Nita wants to say something, but in addition to what Terry was saying before I tap out, is I mean, it's our meeting, and at the end of the day, we're supposed to be open to the public, and we only did this because of COVID, and so at the end of the day, I mean, unless we're just going to be honoring COVID rules still, then technically this is a public meeting. This is not a private meeting. But, and that's not to go further into the discussion. So I agree with Danny. To me, it doesn't matter either way. I mean, I get to sit in my truck here and have a meeting. So, but that being said, I mean, I just want to acknowledge that the councilwoman was on.
Yeah, there's no requirement either way. You know, I know obviously, you know, Zoom came of age during COVID, but there's nothing that dictates us. We have to go back to meetings in person, and we're not the only entity that continues to meet via Zoom.
Yeah, I understand.
Anyhow, but it's worth talk about, you know, and it's maybe it's something that we can try on occasion, or depending on what the circumstances are, but
No,
we can talk more about that.
Thank you.
Okay. Unless we have anything else, I'll be more than happy to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Martinez, Councilwoman would like to speak.
Oh, I'm sorry. Anita, you still out there?
See how you do me?
I'm so, you know, did you have that little hand up or something and I didn't see it?
Put it in the chat.
Not allowed.
Oh my
Oh, it's in
goodness,
the
I'm
chat.
sorry.
He's not reading chats.
Well, you better thank God for Terry Williams that's on the ball here. Because the
True.
chairman certainly isn't.
Thank you so much. I know that I'll probably not follow the protocol because I'm not on the agenda, but it's all good stuff. So to the commissioners, thank you for supporting the handicap signs that were needed in the district that I represent. I'm sure that the constituents will be very happy. I wanted to applaud our police department for all the recent parades that we had, which was Barnum Festival, Juneteenth, and most definitely the Puerto Rican Day Parade. The love that they showed as everyone came down Park Avenue was amazing. I mean, I've been being a part of the parade for quite some time. This year, for some reason, I saw more interaction with the police officers. They're waving, they're smiling. I mean, it was just amazing. And I just wanted you all to acknowledge them. To our commissioner, our chair, for acknowledging the officers that have been doing a good job. I think, and I say this all the time, and I've been saying this since I've been on the council, our police department does not receive the reward that they should for the job that they do. And although it's something that they wanted to do, this is the career that they look forward to, it still doesn't take away from us giving them some type of appreciation. And at times, they do it at the end of the year. I haven't been to one since I think before COVID, where they had it at Fairchild Wheeler. I think that the commission should vote on our police officers that are doing a good job being honored either at the council suite or at an event on a monthly basis. I don't think that that's going to put a tamper on a budget. I think that they should be shown appreciation immediately after something good has been done, because if we have no public safety, we have nothing. We rely on the police, we rely on the fire, we rely on our ambulance, and of course we rely on our doctors, and we ought to cherish them every day that we can. So with that being said, thank you for allowing me to speak. I just wanted to address the appreciation of the police department with these last 3 parades. There were no issues, even to the Puerto Rican Day Parade. I think this has been the first year that not even a fight. So I think we cracked that hourglass that we always turn to see what's going to happen. So thank you.
Well said.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And I know the chief is no longer on, but I know that he does appreciate your support. He has shared with myself and some of the other commanders some of your support to help us keep going as well. So thank you from myself and the police department, but also the chief. If he was on, he would definitely show appreciation as well. Thank you.
Okay, did we have a motion to adjourn on the floor yet?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, is there a second?
Second.
A second.
Okay, made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, folks.
Everybody enjoy.
Good night.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night,
All right.
everyone.
Bye.
Have a
Thank
blessed one.
you.
Good
Bye
night.
bye. Too. Good night.